Good morning, my friends. Welcome to my craft room. My name is Dara Walter of Pickled Peppers Creative Cafe at pickledpepperscreative.com. Today is Sunday, March 16th, 2025, and I am in my craft room to have a little playtime this morning with you. And make something super cute. So welcome to my craft room. Come on in, friends. Come on in. How are you? How are you? Today is Sunday. So today is not the usual day that we come to play and create. We're a day a little bit behind, a day, I don't want to say a day late. We're a day after our usual day. So come on in, and let's make something cute on Sunday. Yeah, I had a little bit of a scheduling conflict yesterday, and I'm trying to fit in as many rest and relaxation activities as I can in my life. And so here I am on Sunday. And I will have to figure out next week because Saturday is our normal day for hanging out in the craft room. Good morning, Kate. Welcome. Thanks for hanging out with me in my craft room. So Saturdays, how are you, by the way? Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Anna. Welcome. Thanks for hanging out in my craft room. Hello, hello. How are you? I hope you guys are having a good week. It has been beautiful in the Midwest, so I'm super excited about that. I had a very nice and relaxing weekend, and I hope you did the same. So I was saying that Saturdays are the days we normally have play day. Next week, I'm not exactly sure. I'll get it posted, but Saturday is my birthday, and I know I'll be hanging out with my family. So we may have another Sunday day next week as well. So yeah, come on in, come on in. Good morning, Beth. Good morning. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me in my craft room today. So let me tell you about today's project. We have a fun and unique card that we're making, and we're focusing basically on the technique. So we are having fun time this morning. So there's not really a specific stamp set that I'm focusing on. We are going to focus on the designer series paper that we have here today. But other than that, we have a fun technique that I want to share with you today. So we're just hanging out and having fun. So come on in, hang out and have some fun. Let's talk about what I am using, which is the designer series paper. This was a purposeful choice. It is called Everyday Happiness. If you can see on the front side, there is plaid or gingham, my favorite thing ever. This looks like Lost Lagoon. And so all of the various shades of teal or aqua, I love jewel tones. So I chose the paper because of that. I bought the paper because of that. So let me show you what the designer series paper looks like. It is so cute. And there's Pretty Peacock. So there was zero chance I was passing up on Pretty Peacock. So we have the gingham. Look at this pattern. Is it not fun? They've added some, I don't know, interesting colors. This is beautiful. And the entire stack of designer series paper coordinates so well with each other. Can you see this? Isn't that yummy? Yummy, yummy, yummy. I'll flip it over in a second here and we'll take a look at the reverse side. And then here's the final pattern. Boy, I have sticky fingers today. Okay, so it looks like there are 6 different patterns, front and back, 4 of each. And then here are the reverse sides. Very nice, right? That is the wild wheat. That's what I was going to say. Can you see how they paired the Lost Lagoon with the wild wheat? I don't know. I'm a fan. I am a fan. So today's project is a scrap buster, which means it's good. It's a good pattern that will allow you to use up some of your stash and your scraps. So it's pretty fun for that. So what else I have here is Pretty Peacock, because there was zero chance I was not going to use it since it is featured in the Designer Series paper. So I have a piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. We're going to make our card base out of that. We do have a little bit of cutting to do. And then I've chosen these two patterns tentatively. When you're making this card, you are going to want two complementary but contrasting designs of Designer Series paper or pattern paper. So you're going to want them to coordinate but be contrasting. And so I'll figure out, I don't know, this is so lovely. I'm not sure it will work with today's card, or maybe I'm not as confident with the lines, because when you cut lines and they're slanted, they don't come out straight the way you want them to. It's a little more obvious. So I like patterns that are more forgiving. So I've chosen those two. Let's see, we have our 8.5 by 11 for our card base. I have a scrap of the Pretty Peacock. We'll need that for a mat. You're going to want to have a 5 1/4 by 4 piece of embossed cardstock in basic white for a mat. You can use whatever, whichever embossing folder you want. Once again, zero chance that I wasn't using butterflies, because I have them and I love them. And then I have some scrap basic white. However, I have used the Stylish Shapes dies to cut a banner. I think this is the largest one. And I think we're going to use that for a sentiment. And the remaining basic white, we're going to have one for the inside of our card. And then there's just some scrap, because I'm not sure which direction we're going to go with the sentiment. And I'm wanting a birthday sentiment, so I did choose two stamp sets that had a happy birthday, and I wanted the happy birthday in a single line, because remember, we're using the banner to stamp our sentiment. So these two were handy in my stash, and they fit the bill. And I really like this You Make Me Happy. I think we're going to go with the Charming Duck Pond. Do you love those ducks? I love those ducks. I love those ducks. And of course the butterflies. There's a happy birthday. So you'll want to find a stamp set that has a sentiment that's in a line. So you don't want something that would need a round or a square die cut like that. All right. So also, while we're creating, if you guys want to chat with me, please do. If you have questions, please ask them. I love to chat with you. If I don't get to your message or question right away, I will go back after the live portion and answer. Or if you are watching on YouTube, I will pop down in the comment section and respond. If for some reason it gets by. Sometimes I'm really focused on what we're doing, and then other times Facebook filters what happens with the comments, and we're on Facebook. But yeah, chat away with me. I love it, love it, love it. All right, so let's jump into it. We have a little bit of cutting to do today. We're going to cut our Designer Series paper, but we're going to start with our cardstock. And I think we might need a little bit more of the Pretty Peacock, so I might put these away and we'll just grab, oh no, we'll use the other half. We'll use the other half that we have for our card base. So let's start cutting, and I can tell you the dimensions. Oh, by the way, in terms of ink, I have Pretty Peacock in Black Memento. You know, Black Memento is my staple. If you don't have it in your craft room, you need it. And Pretty Peacock, because the Pretty Peacock coordinates with what we're doing today. So let's go ahead and cut our card base. I am going to make a traditional A4 card base, so we're going to cut it at 8.5 by 5.5, and then we'll score it at 4 1/4. That will give us our A4 card base. Before I do that, though, I'm going to go ahead and score. I have the 8.5 inch side at the top of my trimmer, and I'm just going to drag the scoring blade to score at 4 1/4, and then I'm going to turn this around, and then we'll cut it at 5.5. That will give us 2 card bases. That's why I was indecisive a moment ago when I said that we'll grab a little more of the, or another sheet of the Pretty Peacock, because I didn't want to cut into the piece that I scored, because I've made 2 card bases and they're already done. That having been said, I think I'm going to stick to that, and I'll grab some more if we need it. But we are going to need 2 additional pieces of the Pretty Peacock, and they need to be 2 5/8 by 2 5/8. And so if you are not very ruler savvy, if you will, if you're not very ruler savvy, the 5/8 of an inch will be the tallest line between 2.5 and 2 3/4. So effectively, 1/2 an inch is 4/8. So 1/4 of an inch is 2/8, which means 1/2 of an inch would be 4/8, and then 2 little lines over will be 5/8. So we're going to cut that. Hopefully that helps if you're challenged in that way. And then we'll put the little scrap aside for something else. And then we're just going to turn it around and cut again at 2 5/8. And we need 2 of these. We need 2 pieces that are 2 5/8. So maybe we'll get them. Oh, yay. I think we will. Look at this. Almost perfect. We'll just cut a little sliver off. All right. Very good. So we have 2 that are 2 5/8 by 2 5/8. I'll put these aside on our card base. And then next we're going to need our 2 patterns of Designer Series paper. Now you are going to need 4 pieces of each pattern. So we're going to have 8 squares that we need. And they need to be 1 1/4 inch square. So this is where we need to definitely settle in on the patterns that we're going to use. And remember, I said you'll want them coordinating but contrasting. I really like these 2. I'm going to go ahead and go with it. So on the first piece, I'm just going to, since we need them to be 1 1/4 inch square, actually, I'm going to go on the opposite side of the trimmer. If you guys don't have a Stampin' Trimmer by Stampin' Up, you will love one. Not only are they inexpensive, you can cut and score on the same, I don't know, blade apparatus. And then also on the opposite side that you normally cut on, so the right side of the groove, the cutting groove, there is there's an extra ruler there for shorter pieces if you're cutting. And I think it's better if I use the bulk of the trimmer to hold the paper. And since there is 1 1/4 on the right of the cutting groove, I'm going to do that. All right, that was a lot of chatter. To take us back where we need to be, we are going to cut 4 1 1/4 inch squares. Oh, yes. Yes, Kate, you love this paper. This paper is gorgeous. And I love that they paired it together with the wild wheat. I wouldn't have thought of that, but it is gorgeous. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. So I know I told you that this project is, it's a good scrap buster. I'm using new paper because I wanted to be intentional about the color choices, but I would totally hit my scrap stash for this because we're cutting such small pieces, right? The other thing that's nice about cutting on the other side of the groove is you notice how I'm just taking the bigger part of the Designer Series paper and I'm just kind of shoving my cut piece right off the end there. It's like pushing it out of a machine. Okay, so we have our 4 there, and then we need the other pattern, and we have scraps for more, so I'm definitely going to save that for that purpose. And then let's grab our gingham, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start with a 1 1/4 inch strip, and then I'll flip it around in the trimmer and cut 4 pieces. So we have 4 squares of this pattern that are 1 1/4 inch by 1 1/4 inch. By the way, the quarters of anything that is evenly divisible by a whole, those are my favorite. Oh, we need one more. Those are my favorite cut measurements. So they would be the 1/4 inch, a 1/4 inch, right? Maybe the 2/8 of an inch. I'm sorry, the 1/8 of an inch will, if you were doing them 1/8 at a time. But when I'm cutting, I prefer the quarters of an inch. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but all right. So let's cut our. Let's see. We have a piece of basic white. Let's see where we shoved it. We need it to be 4 by 5 1/4. So this is going to be for the inside of our card. And then let's see if we're done with our cutting. We may be done with our cutting. I think we are. So let's go ahead and put the trimmer away and we'll start on some magic. All right, so I'm gonna put these aside. Let's go ahead and take care of our card base. In fact, I'm not sure what I did with my bone folder. Oh, here we go. You guys, I've been belly aching. If you create with me on a regular basis, I've been belly aching about that take your pick tool. I still haven't found it. I still haven't found it. And yeah, I'll be happy when I find it. All right, which side are we opening? Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and take our embossed mat and adhere it right down to our card front. And I'm gonna do that because I don't wanna lose track of the pieces. And I do that. When you start bringing lots of stuff on your workspace, if you're anything like me, you will scoop them all up in a pile and lose track of them. We don't want that. So I'm going to go ahead and glue down as many pieces as we can glue down for now. Oh, you know, we do need another piece of the Pretty Peacock. I knew there was something. We need a mat that is 4 1/4 by 1 1/4. So let's find the Pretty Peacock. Let's bring that piece back out. I knew I had it for a reason. Slide this aside for a moment. We need a 1 1/4 by 4 1/4 inch piece. So let's cut this right down to 1 1/4. I try to count the pieces that I need when I'm cutting before I assemble the card, but I am not always the greatest about that. All right, here we go. This is going to go towards the bottom of our card, and I don't think I'm going to put it on just yet. We will put it on in a little bit. So let's go ahead and set this aside and talk about what we're doing with all of these squares. You might want to grab your multi-purpose liquid glue. Yes, Kate, you are so right. It is definitely time to buy a new one. I am perplexed by that. I delayed because I was holding out hope that it would show up. I don't think it's going to. I don't think it's going to. All right, so let's bring back in the Stampin' Seal Plus. So the larger two pieces of Pretty Peacock cardstock, we're going to layer them on top of one another, and so that it makes kind of a star. Can you see this star shape? So in order to achieve that, I am going to use the grid below me. And if you need a grid, we have grid paper in our online store, so you can pick it up there. I love the grid paper. I use it quite a bit. And even after I've soiled it, I cut it into quarters and use the smaller pieces in the reverse side. So we're going to make this in a diamond shape, and I've aligned both points, top and bottom, and then I'm going to put the top one on in a square shape. And I'm just kind of, I'm not really, I'm still good with eyeballing is what I want to say. I'm not really stressed about this being exact, but I do want to have it as close as I can. And we're going to adhere these down just like this. And you could do it, you can do it in the opposite manner if you want. You can put the bottom one down as a square and have the top one shaped diagonally. So in that case, you just use the bottom line of the grid and kind of line it up, eyeball it, so that this vertical line is in the center. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. All right, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and glue this right down. Oh, I didn't want that in the corner, but that's okay. Let's put it in a little bit. It's not going to matter if you get the adhesive because we're going to glue this right down to our card base. But in the meantime, I didn't want it to necessarily stick to the desktop, but that's okay. You don't really have to be careful about it. And let's pop this right down. Let's see, maybe I'll just do it like this. This is why the liquid multi-purpose glue would come in handy, because you have a little bit of time that you can move it around. And there's our adhesive. So I'm definitely gonna flip this back upside down. All right, so now we're gonna bring in the smaller squares, and we're gonna start to assemble them. And the way you're gonna put them down, let me pull this a little closer. We're going to start with one pattern, and we're going to stagger them starting in the corner. Can you see that? We're going to start in one corner. So I'm going to make a dry run here so you can see what it is we're going to do. And we're using the points to position them. So we've created 8 points. Does that make sense? So the next pattern, we're going to use the point that's next. So this card is called a pinwheel card, by the way, if you haven't seen it before. It looks very complicated. It's not. Can you see how we're kind of layering them? And we're going to stagger the patterns by using each point for placement. So we're going to use the liquid glue because this is going to give us a little room, a little wiggle room. But we'll alternate until we get to the last one. Does that make sense? So that's where we're going with this. So let's go ahead and start. On the very first on the very first square that we place, I'm going to apply adhesive to the right side only. And that's going to give us a little space to tuck in the very last square that we have. So using my liquid glue, I'm going to go ahead, only on the right side I applied the adhesive, and I'm going to slide this right into place. There's a little bit like, I don't know, maybe even a 1/16 of an inch border around the outside. I'll bring this closer so you can see. It's just framing it just slightly. Can you see that? Oh, wrong direction. There we go. All right. And so we'll take our next square. I hope this works out. And with your next square, in fact, let's go ahead and switch back. I'm going to switch back to the Stampin' Seal Plus, because I think for most of the remainder of the squares, we don't have to be as careful when it comes to placement. But you might want to stick with the liquid glue. Because we are on camera, I don't want this to take forever. Because I am sure that you guys want to get back to your day, especially if you have a day job and your day job is Monday through Friday. I treasure my weekend time. I treasure it. And Sundays, I'm trying to get out of the mindset of lamenting about Monday, because Monday brings us back into another work week. Sometimes my mind goes there though, but I want to free my mind and enjoy my Sunday, and I'm sure you want to. All right, so can you see how we're just going back and forth, that's going to create our pattern, and we're using each of the peaks that we created by layering the two larger pieces of cardstock together, if that makes sense. And when we get to the very last one though, there will be a little bit of maneuvering required, so we're going to switch back to the multi-purpose liquid glue, or green glue as I like to call it, and I'm not the only one. There are lots of people that call it green glue, and I call it green glue, but it's actually multi-purpose liquid glue. All right, so we're almost done here. Isn't this fun? This is fun, and it's a great way to use up your paper. Or if you're like me and you want the matchy-matchy and you love the matchy-matchy, you can use your larger paper stacks or new ones, as I have done. All right. So now that we're at the end, remember we added adhesive only to the right side of that first piece. That's because we need to tuck our final piece to make it right. We need to tuck it right under. Let's get this a little closer. Let's find my camera. So you see, this is the first piece. We didn't put adhesive on the whole one, and that's because we need to tuck the square underneath of it. So we needed to have it loose so that we can do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and add some liquid multi-purpose glue to the last piece that we have here. Oh, I'm being a little more generous than I wanted to be. I hope this doesn't squeeze out. I don't know why I did that. I don't know why. And then I'm gonna slide it right underneath of the first piece. And I'm still looking at the edge here so that we have that little bit of a border. This is the most challenging piece about this card. So that is the worst of it, I promise you. And I'm being a little bit picky with placement. And you don't have long, let me tell you, before the multi-purpose glue starts setting up. You don't have long. All right, and then to finish it off, I'm gonna flip this little end up and add some glue. Oh, isn't this cool, Kate? This is a really cool card. A really cool card. And like I said, it's super simple, and you can go through your scraps. How many of these cards do you think you can make with your scraps? Lots, right? If you're anything like me and you're a paper hoarder. And then this is what we have. Is this lovely? It reminds me of a quilt. They call it pinwheel, but I think it reminds me of a quilt. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is add this element to the top front of our card base. And then you get to decide whether you know, the orientation that you want it. You know, I think I'm going to turn it so that the gingham side is pointing towards the top because it's my fave. And then our banner that we created with the pretty peacock, we're going to put towards the bottom, and then we'll stamp our sentiment, do a little bit of embellishing, and then we'll be done. All right, so I think I'm settling in here. This is kind of where I like it. So that's why I told you when I kind of overdid it with the adhesive earlier on the top square. It doesn't really matter because we're going to use that adhesive. We're going to use it. And let's put this right down in the center top portion of our card base. Give it a nice press. If you are using Stampin' Seal Plus, which is my adhesive of choice, then it's a nice strong adhesive, so it should it should adhere really good to your embossed card base. And then we're going to add this to the bottom. And this is just to add a little bit of a border or a color breakup for our sentiment, because we cut the cardstock, that banner, from white designer series paper. I'm sorry, white cardstock. And so we need, you know, white on white is a little harder to see. All right, so let's go ahead and grab, I cut two for good measure. You know how I do. One is in case we make a boo-boo, and I have one on the back burner, so to speak. So we don't actually need two, but I have two just in case we made a boo-boo. All right, so remember I said I thought I was going to be using the Charming Duck Pond for a sentiment. I love those little ducks. I like that You Make Me Happy, so I think I'm gonna maybe, do I want to do that? You Make Me Happy. No, we'll stick with the Happy Birthday. Maybe. Let's see. Let's grab the Happy Birthday. And let's see if the other one, let's see if the other sentiment will fit. Oh, dear, where is it? I don't see it. I must have dropped it right out of here. Oh, that makes me sad. So the You Make Me Happy, it's more than likely in another stamp case. And let's look at this Happy Birthday because I want it kind of long and chunky. Yeah, let's do that. We're going to switch gears here. So I'm going to grab the Happy Birthday from the beautiful butterfly. By the way, did you guys happen to nab this beautiful butterfly stamp set during Celebration? It was free. It's still in the catalog, and there are coordinating goodies with it that makes it extra, extra yummy. Oh no, here it is. I already mounted it. There's that You Make Me Happy. I still think I'm going to go with the birthday though. Let's pull this off. I wondered how I lost it. We're going to use this Happy Birthday, and I think that we're going to use the Pretty Peacock. We'll keep everything matchy-matchy. So I'm going to go ahead and ink. Oh, you can still see the embossing. Yes, you're right, Beth. And I think any embossing folder would be perfect for this card. I just happen to use butterflies because I love them. But yeah, you can still see the embossing, so that's nice. And it doesn't, the embossing doesn't really compete with the pattern that we created for the pinwheel, right? Oh, I love this card, you guys. I love it. I love it. I love it. Let's go ahead and grab some Stampin' Dimensionals. There we go. I didn't have those ready. Sorry about my forearm in your face. Oh, I didn't think to grab these off of my stand before we got started. All right, so let's peel the backing off. I love this card. Can I make this happy birthday to me? This is lovely. The colors, I love everything about it. Everything about it. And we'll stamp, or I'm sorry, we'll adhere this right down to the center. There we go. Let's bring my trash to the side here. All right, and then we need to add an embellishment, but here's what we have so far. Isn't this fun? So right in the center, I just picked the basic rhinestones because they were handy. I'm gonna grab the biggest one that we have, and I'm gonna put it right in the center here of our pinwheel pattern. Let's see what tool I have handy. Oh, I have this thing. Let's try this pokey thing. And we're gonna set this right in the center. And then I think I'm gonna take, maybe not so large, let's take the medium. And do I want it? Well, let's do either side. There we go. Oh, I'm in love, I'm in love. All right, and then finally, we need to add our mat to the inside. This is a good time to go ahead and stamp the sentiment of your choice here. Why don't I go ahead? Since we're here, we'll go ahead and do it. There's a time to celebrate. We're gonna grab that out. And it's fitting, so we'll grab it out and stamp it now. I'm gonna be very careful. Can you see the ink that's on my ink block here? When you use a stamp that is quite a bit smaller than the block that you're using, that tends to happen. You don't want that to happen because it's easier to get ink on portions of your project that you don't want it to be. And it's easier to get it on your fingers. So be careful of that. If you're new to stamping, make sure that you try to get the block as close in size as you can to the stamp that you're adhering on it. All right, so we're going to plop this right down in the center. I'm not going to rock it because I already know if I do, I'm going to get ink where I don't want it to be. So I'll be a little careful there. We have our time to celebrate. And you know what? Let's here. I'm going to grab a clean block. That messy block is making me a little nervous. So my forearms are in your face again. Forgive me. All right, I'm gonna grab that little butterfly, the Sidewinder, I'm gonna call it. The half of Sidewinder butterfly, and I'm just gonna take the Pretty Peacock and put that little butterfly right down in the corner. It's one of my favorite things to do, to dress up the inside of the card and the envelope. We're not gonna dress our envelope today, but we have plenty of paper to do so. All right. Close this up so I don't lose any more stamps. And then we'll add this right to the inside, and we are done with our card. What do you guys think about the pinwheel card? Isn't it fun? Now, if you need the dimensions, you can come back. The video will stay up here for 30 days. Facebook has new guidelines pertaining to the Facebook Live videos, and so they won't stay forever anymore. They disappear after 30 days. So if you're going to make this card, come back within 30 days. Thank you, Julie. Isn't it cute? I love it. I love it, love it, love it. I love everything about it, and I'm glad that I chose the butterflies. I love it. I love the color. Thank you so much. So if you guys, if you want to make this card, you can come back here, write down the dimensions before 30 days is up. But I am going to flip this video over to YouTube, so you can watch on my YouTube channel as well. There will be a description in the comment section above. In just a little bit, I'll get it posted. And if you need to come back and go over to YouTube, you can do that too. All right, so this is our share for today. I love this card, you guys. I'm so enamored. The star of the day was the designer series paper, and if you love this paper, which I would not be sad to see this paper in, I don't know, a variety of colors. I love this paper. So the paper that we used, it is the Everyday Happiness. Can you see that? Everyday Happiness, and there are the coordinating colors there. I love that they put the Lost Lagoon with the wild wheat. Love, love, love. And so this was our star of the day. Lots of patterns if you're using this to create with, and you have the reverse sides. This was our star of the day, as I said. And then I just used the basic rhinestone jewels. We used our paper trimmer, so just some basic stuff here. And then I switched gears. I brought 2 stamp sets that I just went looking for a birthday sentiment because I need a few birthday cards for this month. And that's what led me to these 2 stamp sets. But ultimately I ended up using the beautiful butterfly. So you saw this from me recently and you're seeing it again. And if you got it for free on Celebration, you are ready to go. No die cutting, just our paper trimmer. And we ended up with this lovely, lovely card. All right, you guys, that is my share for today. Stay tuned, pop back into the to my page or the channel this week to see when I'm able to create. It won't be Saturday because I'll be celebrating, but you can count on one thing. I will be back to create with you again. So you guys, thank you so much. Thank you for spending your time with me. I don't take it for granted. Time is the one thing we have as the most precious. You spent yours with me. I am so grateful for that. You keep me crafty. I'm grateful for that. And I want you to have a fantastic remainder of your day and your week. I will see you soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.